everybody? Okay, so let's get into this thing. What are we going into today? Okay, we're going to wrap up last week with Nebraska. We're going to wrap that up. We've done some sessions on it. We've talked about it. And then we're going to move into Colorado versus Colorado State. All right. And what that game looks like, what it's going to look like, and what the team needs to do to put it out. Okay, so everybody knows that Colorado, the Buffaloes won against Nebraska last week. Now, that was a that defense, and I gotta say this again, that defense of Nebraska, they really were a tough defense. They held, now with that being said, they held Colorado to 13 points in the first quarter, but we know that quarterback, there was some issues with the quarterback on the other team where there was a lot of mishandling of the ball. So that did give Colorado a lot of points. But I don't want to take away from the fact that they had a really good defense. Nebraska did. That being said, also Colorado's defense stepped up and held that team to no score after the first half. All right. And then eventually they did start picking up in the second half. And the game ended up being 14. And I did not, the game ended up being a lower scoring game than we expected Colorado to do. But they won. They pulled it out in convincing fashion. So really happy for Colorado. Of course, they'll tell you themselves there's some things they want to clean up. They keep using that phrase. We left some meat on the bone. We left some meat on the bone. That's right. So we're gonna make sure we get all the meat on the bone off of this game coming up. Now, just to recap, Weaver had 10 receptions, 170 yards. Wonderful. I got to talk once again about Wyatt a little bit. Now, he had a quiet 73 yards, and that's wonderful. But we know Travis. Travis wanted to go off 200 points. So this was that game they said it's personal, all right? But again, they pulled it out, and I want to talk about the ratings. It's being said that there were 8.73 million people watching this CU game, CU versus Nebraska game. And then before that, the week before that, they played TCU, 7.2 million, it said, watch that. Now, I don't think that these numbers are taken into account the fact that there was streaming. All right, a lot of streaming. And some would say that that pushed the number, especially for this CU versus Nebraska game, up into 10 million. So, as I said, when I first, did my first session, every game needs to be treated like a bowl game because it's getting that much attention, especially when you look at all of the celebrity figures and the big names that were at this CU Nebraska game. This is getting bowl game type of attention. And I say that every game throughout this season is going to be the equivalent of a bowl game. And I talked about this because when Coach Prime and Shiloh were in that Celebrity Bowl game, that game got what, 4 million, 4.5 million or something close to that. And their first game here with Colorado is 7.2 million. All right, so every game is to be treated like a bowl game. Also, the defense, as I said, stepped up against Nebraska. All right, in the second quarter, the offense of Colorado just started rolling downhill, meaning they were running over some people. They were able to get the running game started. The offense started clicking after that second possession of the second quarter. The offense started clicking, all right, and then they didn't look back after that, and they were able to hold that defense. The defense of Colorado was able to hold the offense of Nebraska. So they pulled it out. Great. They don't feel comfortable about the sloppiness of the play. But what they should feel comfortable about is the fact that Shador is still close to 900 or over 900 yards passing, and then no interceptions. Where they do that at? They do it at Colorado. All right, so let's get into this now. I want to talk about this coming game this week with Colorado State. All right, let's get into it because I had the opportunity to watch uh, Colorado State play. Now, what I noticed about the game, they played their first game. First of all, they only have one game under their belt, and that was against Washington State. Now, I don't want to take anything away from Washington State and their greatness, but they whooped up on Colorado State. They whipped up on Colorado State. So after the half, it was 29-3 Washington State over Colorado State. And then after that, at the ending was 50-24. All right, 50-24. So they lost by 25, 26 points. Now, here's what I saw when I watched this game. They didn't have an offense. Now, you had these quarterbacks in that were trying or attempting to make throws, but there were two interceptions in this game, and they had two different quarterbacks. The first one wasn't doing so well. He was unable to move the ball. He tried to make a play and make a pass, and it was picked off. They brought somebody else in. I think he got hurt, and then they brought the second quarterback, the backup quarterback, Nicholas or uh, Nasolis Nikoleski. All right, I shouldn't have butchered that man's name. I apologize. But they brought the backup quarterback in, and he was picked off. All right. So what I saw away from the greatness of Washington State may be an awesome team because I have not truly evaluated them. However, uh, when I look at them compared to what Colorado has, I don't see them as an unbeatable team. So what I saw with Colorado State is that they had no offense. And it's partially due to these QBs. They had to bring in two different QBs. They were rushed a lot, but what I did also see is the offensive line was able to hold. Again, I can't really evaluate the greatness of Washington State, but what I did see was there were maybe a couple of sacks in the game, but for the most part, the offensive line held up. They held up. Um, their defensive line the defensive line of Colorado allowed a lot of runs coming from Washington State. So Washington State had their running game going, and they had the defense. Their defense was doing a good job against Colorado State. Now, when we talk about the defense of Colorado, all right, they're clicking right now. The defense of Colorado is clicking right now. So we're going to see some stops, and also this make this clear. And let me rephrase that: the defensive line is clicking because the secondary, they were on point, but that line now is clicking. And so what we're going to see is you're going to see some heavy pressure on that quarterback, and we've got some new players coming in on the defense for the line. You're going to see some pressure on that quarterback. So the other thing that I see is you want to be careful. Colorado, CU, the Buffaloes want to be careful about this. They do have a fast kickoff returner. He's not as fast as our superhero, but he's a fast kickoff returner. Want to check him on special teams. But other than that, the only thing, the strong point that I see with respect to Washington State is the offensive line. Everything else, I don't see them holding Colorado, the Buffaloes. They cannot hold the Buffaloes. All right, they're going to get run over. So here's what I would say as we're going into this game. Once again, always say never by Washington State. All right. And again, I don't want to diminish the greatness of Washington State or overrate it for that matter. But what I will say is, with respect to Colorado, we just don't want to underestimate our opponent. And then the other thing is, again, just run the score up, because this is what I saw with the Colorado State versus Washington State game, is that Colorado State was forced into a position where they had to throw. They didn't have a choice because they were, again, 29-3 at the half. They were behind. So they're having to throw. And of course, when you have to throw, when you're forced to throw, you play into the hands of Colorado, the Buffaloes, because that's their strength. If you're throwing, every time you throw, look for it to get picked off. So this is why it's very important, again, for them to come in and build up a good lead. I don't think they're going to have any problems taking care of this team, but definitely just come in and be disciplined. This, as long as they maintain their discipline, they're playing ahead. All right, they're not turning the ball over and taking care of the ball, which is what's indicative of that team in the first place. Colorado should not have any problems winning this. Now, I do want to get into some comments made by the head coach of Colorado State. And this was taken to heart by Coach Prim, and now this game is considered to be personal. All right. So, what happened with this? His name, because we're not going to give him any press, but the head coach of Colorado State said in some kind of video or interview he was doing, he says that he had enough home training by his mother to take his glasses and hat off on the inside when talking to people. And Coach Prime took that to him including his mother in the comment. That's what he said. Oh, yeah, well, you don't put my mama in this comment. So now this is personal, is what he said. Now I'm going to talk about this briefly, and then I'm going to get up out of here. One of the things that I personally, as an athlete and an entertainer, because even on stage I'm an athlete because I do a lot of athletic things. But anyway, we'll get into that. As an athlete, anytime somebody would upset me, or even when I'm going on stage and I'm like in that place, I'm getting ready to light up the stage. And I mean light it up. I go into a whole nother energy. You talking about Incredible Hulk. Now, why this guy would come on and say something to anger this team, I don't understand that. They're not a team with any kind of credits behind them where they can just be saying, coming out saying things and not fully being able to back it up, because they got pummeled in that game. I mean, yeah, the score was 50-24, but that really is not indicative of the beating that they took in that game. So why he would come out and say this, I don't know. Maybe he was trying to hype his team up, but here's the deal. You have upset this team that already has a chip on their shoulders, and you made it personal. Now I say to the Buffaloes, please make it personal, and don't take it easy on them like you did Nebraska. Yeah, you whipped Nebraska convincingly, but don't take it easy. When you put your foot on their neck, keep it on their neck the whole time. Don't even put your backup people in. Don't put them in. Run that thing up to 60 points, 70 points. Make it. See, I want you to beat them so bad, they're going to feel it a decade from now. We want you to beat them so bad that nobody else on any other team has the desire to say anything negative or disrespectful, because they don't want the whipping that you're going to put on them. We want you to whip them so bad they feel it from now on. The score needs to be so high that it's a record for them. Okay, make sure you beat them to the point where you score more points that day than they scored a whole year. There you go. Really make it personal. Do not let up off of them like you did Nebraska. Don't let them score defense. Keep them down. Put their head in the dirt. You remember there was this game, the game last week, where that guy's helmet went into the ground and he just came up with a face full of grass. Yeah, you put their head in the grass like that. All they get is dirt and grass in their face. Don't let up. Make it personal. All right. And then that way, everybody else who comes after that, they'll know not to say anything. Once again, watch your discipline. Stay disciplined. Run the score up. Make them have to throw. All right. Make sure the defense is on point. Don't let them run. Put their head in the dirt. Make it personal. Colorado, congratulations on your win over Colorado State. We already know. Don't take them lightly. Respect them as you pummel them. Diva Lyri, I'm going to get up out of here. I love you. I love you. And I love you. I'm out. See y'all